Did you know that fibroids are the #1 cause of hysterectomies in the US? Every year, more than 500,000 women undergo this major surgery, with many women being told it's their only option. But if that isn't shocking enough, a recent study revealed nearly 40% of women weren't even offered alternatives first. Ladies, this is a conversation that we need to have. Happy New Year and welcome back to my channel. I am GlamPreezy. If you are new here, I make videos about natural fibroid healing and more specifically on how I've been able to shrink and manage my fibroids naturally and all of the shocking facts that I've learned along the way. So if you want to learn more about this topic, you know what to do. Keep watching. Happy New Year and welcome back to my channel. I am GlamPreezy. If you are new here, hey girl, hey. And to my returning subbies, happy 2025. We made it, you guys. I am so grateful to have you back again for another video. As you can see by my intro, the thumbnail, and the title, today we are going to be talking about hysterectomies and fibroids. Boy, have I been anticipating sharing the facts that I learned on this topic. If you have not already, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I talk all about natural fibroid healing and adjacent topics, okay? And I would hate for you to miss any of these super informative videos made just for us in the fibroid community. If you are already a part of the family, thank you so much for subscribing. Make sure that you go down below and turn on your post notifications so that you too are not missing any of my weekly uploads, okay? So without further ado, come on in. You know we got some things to discuss. We got some heavy facts to discuss today. And you know I got a beverage. I have made myself a chai tea latte with almond milk. I will leave the recipe down below in the description box. You know I got you, okay? And I got my notes, so let's get into this. So at this point, fibroids are the most common gynecological condition, unfortunately, affecting somewhere around 80% of women by the age 50. That is shocking, is it not? However common they are, they still remain one of the least understood gynecological conditions. As I said in the beginning of the video, fibroids are the #1 cause for hysterectomies in the US, accounting for a whopping 39% of all cases. And as shocking as those numbers are, here's another one for you. 1 in 3 women will undergo a hysterectomy by the age 50. And I'm sure that all of us know women personally who have undergone hysterectomies. My mother had one, her mother had one, her mother had one, my cousin had one. So at this point, you can see how common this procedure is. And with them being so common, it feels like we can just almost come to expect having one, right? So while I was doing the research for this video, I read several articles that had some extremely alarming information to me. So I thought to myself, let me dive a little bit deeper to see if I can find more information on this. And this is what I came up with. Studies are showing that 1 in 5 may not have even needed to undergo a hysterectomy in the first place. Yes, if that's not bad enough, even more troubling. A recent study revealed that almost 40% of women undergoing this life-altering procedure were not offered any alternative treatments beforehand. So how did we get here? Why are women so often pushed towards this irreversible procedure instead of getting to the root of their pain and suffering first, or at least doing their best to try before offering something like this? You know, it really upsets me. And if you've watched any of my recent videos, then you know that it's very uncommon that doctors are even looking into your diet or hormonal imbalances, which is what fuels fibroids in the first place, or any number of the less invasive treatments that they have out there. And as I've been on this journey and doing my studying and understanding how the medical system works, it's so apparent that at this point, medical professionals are not prepared for this. And it's so unfortunate that people who specialize in gynecology are still not prepared for dealing with this situation. And so, of course, if we are going to be talking about hysterectomies, we need to learn a couple facts about the procedure, right? So a hysterectomy is the surgical removal of the uterus. and in some cases, it includes the removal of ovaries and fallopian tubes. This is a major operation with significant implications for women's health. The most common types of hysterectomies that are being done in the US are the total hysterectomy, and this removes the uterus and the cervix. Often, the ovaries and fallopian tubes are left intact, but not always. The second most common procedure being done in the US is the partial hysterectomy. This removes the uterus itself, but leaves intact the cervix. And according to my research, one of the benefits of a partial hysterectomy is reduced recovery time as compared to a total hysterectomy. And some of the health implications of both of these procedures are that it could lead to early menopause if the ovaries are removed. Hormonal imbalances, of course, we can expect that. Increased risk for heart disease. There's also a risk for pelvic organ prolapse. If you didn't know about hysterectomies at all, it is good for you to know that hysterectomies will render you infertile. This means that you will no longer be able to have the ability to have a baby, okay? And as I mentioned before, a key decision made during hysterectomy, whether or not to leave the ovaries. And this procedure is called an OOPHORECTOMY. And this choice can obviously significantly impact your health, as removing the ovaries eliminates your primary source of progesterone and estrogen, and it will lead to immediate menopause no matter what your age is. And there is a known risk factor for developing heart disease with removing the ovaries, as well as osteoporosis and cognitive decline due to the rapid loss of hormones, okay? As opposed to keeping the ovaries, which will continue to allow your natural hormone production. This is also said to reduce the risk factor for long-term complications like heart disease. However, even with keeping the ovaries, some women still may experience hormonal shifts after surgery. And according to my research, it looks like the recovery time does vary quite a bit, but the average looks to be between 4 and 8 weeks for recovery. And it looks like the procedure can cost anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 plus, depending on the details of the hysterectomy type that you get and your surgeon's fees, etc., etc. Okay, so let's discuss some of the side effects of hysterectomies while we're here. One of the major side effects that most women are aware of is obviously early menopause if the ovaries are removed. And if you have an auntie, mother, grandmother, or older women around you, then you know that some of these side effects are hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings. And because of the hormonal element to this, there can be weight gain, fatigue, and anxiety. And I think that those are less discussed topics in relation to having a hysterectomy. I feel like we all are told about the early menopause, but we're not really well prepared to understand what condition this leaves the body in, right? In addition to this, a lot of women do experience changes in their sexual function, such as decreased libido, vaginal dryness. And to me, I've heard more about that than I have the weight gain, the anxiety, sometimes the depression that comes with this. If I missed anything on that list, please make sure to put it down in the comments below. If any of you have undergone a hysterectomy and you have anything to add to that list or want to tell your personal story, I very much encourage you to sound off down below in the comments. You know, I'd love to hear from you. So obviously, these are not small risks. And I think as a society, we have become so comfortable with the idea of having a hysterectomy. I am not anti-hysterectomy. I can't be, because if you need one, then you need one. But I think this conversation in particular is one that needs to be had. Why the overuse of this procedure? Why are we having so many women that are presented with this option as their first and only option? That is my position on this topic. So let's talk more about that. As I said, it seems like hysterectomies seem to be the default recommendation for fibroids. I myself was offered a hysterectomy in my mid-30s when I first started having trouble with fibroids. And it was almost the first thing that she recommended before the myomectomy. Like, it's shocking how quickly they skip to this. And at this point, I truly feel that it's because of a lack of awareness about alternative treatments, combined with systemic biases in women's healthcare. And yes, of course, financial incentives for the medical industry. And that's why I think this conversation needs to be had more often and in more spaces, because this is ridiculous. There's no reason why a benign condition should default to having something as extreme as a hysterectomy before we are exploring options. That is absolute insanity to me. And of course, for the sakes of this video, I did a little bit more digging because you know I'm gonna find the information, okay? If there's one thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna find the information. Here's something interesting. On average, a doctor might earn anywhere between $1,000 to $3,000 per hysterectomy. Now, if you times that by 600,000, actually, I'm not being messy, y'all. I just want to see what that looks like dollar-wise. So if they made $3,000 per procedure at 500,000, holy crap, 1,500,000,000. That's staggering. Hold on, let me say that one more time. $1,500,000,000. I'm shook. I knew it was going to be a lot, but whoa, I almost lost my train of thought. So financial incentive, yeah, not expect that, you guys. I am so sorry. I'm rarely shook on my videos. That just shocked the hell out of me. All right, so back to my research. Now, this is just a general range, okay? And obviously can vary based on location, insurance, specifics of the procedures, and the doctor's fees, okay? And even with that astronomical number that we just seen, this does not mean that it is financially motivated per se. Let me make this clear that this is my opinion based on what I have experienced and what I have read. They be pushing these surgeries on you like, okay? I cannot say indefinitely, obviously, that financial gain drives this singularly. I don't think that would be the right thing to say because I'm sure that there are many doctors out here who recommend this procedure who are not looking for financial gain. I just want to make that clear. I feel like it is one of the drivers. And obviously, it is worth considering how incentives might influence how often these procedures are being suggested. And just bringing it back to the topic at hand, what's so alarming for me about this entire situation is how the women suffering from fibroids are slipping through the medical cracks. I hate to continue to make videos that may position me as I'm trying to be in an opposition to the medical industry. And I absolutely am not. If you have watched my channel long enough, then you know that I absolutely advocate for you continuing to find a doctor to work with. I don't think that this is, I'm not gonna say it's not possible because it's absolutely possible for you to do it without one. It's not a smart decision to go about this without a medical professional guiding you. There are certain things that we need doctors for. That's why I really, really love functional medicine and functional practitioners that can work with you and guide you through this. So by no means am I saying that I feel like you should avoid doctors because they're going to make you get a hysterectomy. No, we need to be focusing on why are these procedures continuing to be our only option when we know that there are certain things that cause fibroid development and fibroid growth that we should absolutely address before we get to such a permanent solution. And I always have to say that because most of my audience gets it, but there are always those women that come down in my comments talking about how this, that, and the other, okay? And this is a fiery topic. This is a very emotional topic for many. This is a very hard topic to talk about, but I'm the one. I'm not afraid to have these conversations. The more that we are aware, the more informed we will be, and the better we will be able to make choices that make sense for ourselves and our bodies. I can assure you that there are plenty of generations of women before us that didn't know they had an option, that didn't even know anything about some of the things that I talk about on this channel. So if you are ever questioning my motive, all I want for us is to be well informed so that we can be in a position to make an informed decision about our own bodies. It angers me deeply to see so many women being robbed of their own choices. That is what drives these videos. That is what makes me want to have this type of awareness. And it's unfortunate that many of the medical professionals are not trained to deal with this. So instead, they just go to these radical conclusions about our health and about our body. It's traumatizing. Now I'm fired up. It's traumatizing. And it's unfair that women have to go through this. If men were experiencing this, I promise you there would be a solution by now. I promise you that. We should not have to deal with this. So let's continue on this point. Excuse me, I'm on day 4 of my flow, child. So I am fired up, okay? So as you have learned, if you've been watching my channel, you know that fibroids are not just a gynecological issue, okay? They're a whole body issue. Our hormone health is deeply tied to our health as a whole. And even if you didn't have fibroids, your menstrual cycle and your hormone health is deeply tied to your whole body health. We cannot continue to look at our hormone health as its own separate issue. That's the reason why medicine is flawed, because we're not going to things like diet, okay? We're not looking at inflammation. We're not even looking at nutrient deficiencies, okay? That is a whole body issue. If you're deficient in something, it's not just, trust me, it's not just affecting your uterus. If we're not addressing these causes, then it's just a band-aid to a much bigger problem. So let's look closer at this troubling trend that I mentioned earlier in this video. A recent study revealed that almost 40% of women who underwent a hysterectomy for benign conditions like fibroids, abnormal uterine bleeding, or endometriosis weren't offered any alternative treatments beforehand. That means that thousands of women are going under the knife every year without being informed about less invasive treatment options. Whew. And you guys, if you felt that anything that I have said was alarming to this point, just wait. Per this research study, pathology reports showed that 1 in 5 hysterectomies didn't have sufficient medical justification. 1 in 5 hysterectomies in this study didn't even have medical justification. Imagine the emotional and physical toll of undergoing such a life-changing procedure, only to find out that it may not have even been necessary in the first place. What's happening here? This is the type of stuff that just makes me so angry for us. This study also highlighted that fewer than 30% of women received medical therapies before their hysterectomy, okay? So they went back and looked at all of these women's medical records, okay, obviously with their approval, and there was no other medical interventions in place by any of the doctors that they had seen before they got a hysterectomy, is basically what this is saying. And only 24% underwent minor surgical procedures beforehand, which could have addressed their symptoms without removing the uterus. So only 24% of them got a minor procedure, like maybe a UFE or something like that, before they got this hysterectomy. That is beyond me. And no, that's not it. There's more. Younger women under the age of 40 are more likely to be offered alternatives, but they're also more likely to have pathology that doesn't support the need for surgery. Nearly 38% of them. So if you're under 40, you're more likely to be given alternatives. But at the same time, if you're under 40 and you have a hysterectomy, that hysterectomy may not have even been justified. And so this is what fueled this video. Why is it that so many women are being pushed, and younger women being pushed to have these hysterectomies when other paths are not even being explored? So it's apparent to me after all of that, that this is not just a medical issue. This is a systemic issue. Women deserve to know all their options. And I was having this conversation in the comments yesterday, because a lot of medical professionals are not prepared and they do not know about this. They are not trained for this. That makes it all the more important for us to be an active participant in our own healing and in our own health. We cannot just rely on doctors to heal us. We just can't. In my opinion, for something like fibroids, as this video is about, hysterectomy should be the last option and certainly not the first one. I would rather my doctor tell me, listen, I don't know how to help you with this. Let me refer you. Let me look up and see if one of my colleagues has more experience in this. That's what I would rather hear. And the hard truth is, beyond this, beyond all of the things that we talked about in today's video, a hysterectomy introduces a whole new hormone struggle. It's just a different one. And that's another reason why it's so alarming to me. This throws the body into a whole nother hormonal state of being that we are often not prepared for. I know that besides hot flashes and night sweats and mood swings, we didn't have a conversation about this. My mom just had the hysterectomy. Her mom, same thing, just had the hysterectomy. Her mom just had the hysterectomy. And it just seems like this inevitability that it's just gonna happen, especially if you have a family that has fibroids in it. Ladies, we have to start advocating for ourselves. We have to start educating ourselves. We gotta do the research. We have to. We almost at this point, we cannot afford not to. And there's a whole nother set of issues here because we know that fibroids predominantly affect a whole population of women that are being vastly ignored. I'm not trying to exclude anybody out of this conversation because as women, we need to have it. But as a Black woman with a Black mother and a Black sister, it's important for me to speak specifically about how this situation is affecting my community. Not only are we ignored because we are women, but we're double ignored because we are brown. Take control of your health journey, really, because there's some nasty stuff going on in the medical industry. And by no means is every doctor like this, but this is our body and we need to be active participants in this healing. We can no longer leave our health in the hands of medical professionals. That's why I said in one of my last videos, use the doctor as a tool to get you towards your goal, but you got to do the work. Otherwise, it just leaves our doctors to lead the way. You need to be a part of that conversation. And when you are unaware of how it works, you can't really be a part of the conversation with your doctor because now I know what's going on. So when I go hop up on that table, I am an equal partner in my health with that doctor. I'm no longer sitting at the edge of that table desperate for answers. That's the difference. Look, I digress. I hope that this video was informative to you guys. And I told you this year, I'm not playing no games. There are very hard conversations that need to happen in this community, the fibroid community. This is hard. This is hard. It's hard to have. And it's hard even for me to publicly talk about these things because there's so many people against what I'm saying. You know what I mean? I got to argue with people in the comments every single day. Imagine me trying to free women with information that nobody is telling them, and then somebody wants to argue with me underneath the comments. Be kind in my comments, okay? Talking about women's issues and women's health issues and women's hormone health as a specific topic is very difficult. Because the world doesn't want us to heal, it seems. There's so much against us. And I don't want to contribute to that conversation. And I don't want my platform to contribute to that. I want this platform to contribute to development and research into this issue and self-development and introspection. And I want it to be a source of motivation for you all. It's because my whole heart is in this. I do the glam and I get all glammed up and I do all the things, but I've gone through it. I'm not just a face behind a camera. I have gone through it and I have personally prevailed. Please leave a comment down below. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. Please become a part of the family. This is a growing community and I will stop at nothing to make sure that we are informed and to make sure that we have information that has been hidden from us. If you have not already watched my last video, I'm going to go ahead and suggest that you do. right now. I made this video just for you so that you can learn more about fibroids and natural fibroid healing. So please go ahead and check out this video. And until next time, mwah, I love you. And I cannot wait to see you in another video.